Hey guys, I figured that you look like you're pretty well capable of entertaining yourself, so you probably don't really need me. So I'm just sort of sitting back watching. Anyway, who's in tonight? Mark Osborne, good day. Craig, hello. Rustnotch, Chirpy, Poppy. Gonna have to try harder on the tool making video. We'll talk about that in a minute. Rotterdam sounds fun. Gary, good day. Aid must be in here somewhere. Hello. Joseph, g'day. Oh, there he is. Maddie, hello. And Cam, good to see ya. Hope you're doing okay. Interesting video the other day. Hope you get a lathe soon. Good videos from Craig. Tommy, g'day. See you early. Stephen Lang, g'day. Golly, mixed crowd. Ted, g'day. JB, hello. Don't know about your torch. I sort of had a look at that. I reckon it's like one of those low pressure cutting torches, like the Dylan or whatever. That's what it looks like. Probably pretty good torch. Golly, we're still going. Hey, Phil, good day. Good to see ya. Dennis. If anyone knows that Phil's Projects guy, go and check out his channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make some good stuff. What he needs to make is videos. So if you go and subscribe and bump that up, you might make some more. Dennis too, cutting tool designer. Go and hit up Dennis Nolan's channel and subscribe to that. G'day, John McNamara. Mats, hello. Fridge, g'day. Phil's getting coffee. Oh, I forgot all about the switch fridge. Sorry. Didn't even give it a thought. G'day, Kevin. Yeah, loving the engines. Looking good. The governor weights and everything look fantastic. Manco, g'day. I'll talk to you a bit later on about stuff. I just haven't made any measurements yet. Anthony, g'day. Good to see ya. Hello, Tech, g'day. Anyway, we got through that. We're 5 minutes in and I've read some of the... Marford Boy, g'day. Another channel. You should check that channel out. We were talking about him this week and I posted some pictures of his little engine running. Little bit impressed. Marford Boy, little bit impressed about the hot air engine you've just built. That's a nice looking model. It's a bit bigger than I would like to take on, but it runs nice. Very awesome. Keep them coming. I mean, I'd really like to see engine builds from you. But yeah, I go look at your blog and think, well, maybe I should think about another set of castings, but I've got way too many projects. But some of these other guys have got nothing else to do. So sell them some castings kits because they're fantastic castings. So go and hit up Myford Boy, Fairfax Engines, whatever, and buy a set of castings because they're nice engines. And the comment that was made this week is that he's not only a pretty good foundryman and an excellent teacher, and he makes good videos, but he's also a pretty good designer, and any of his designs really come together nice. So there you go. Craig's got over the D2 steel trauma. Yeah, that was a bit of an ask, actually. Making that mandrel single point cut in D2 is a little bit of a challenge. But anyway, you probably should have worked that out. It's all right, but you're just going to need to practice at it. It's pretty tough stuff, and you've got to cut a little bit deeper than the radius on your tool to get any finish at all, and that means a little bit of speed and a little bit of horsepower. And for single point threading, that's a little bit scary. Anyway, what do I got? What's happening here? We've talked about that. Don't know. I got a piece of 4140 for that last belt pulley on the overhead drive. That's pretty awesome. Craig, you're right. You've got to try a little bit harder and dig a bit deeper. Don't just try and skim cut it. Get in and take as much as you can off at a time. A repeatable cross slide is pretty helpful for that. Hey, Duncan. So that's a project. It's got to have an inch hole in it to go on the shaft, and there's a bit of a step on each end and a grub screw in the middle. That's all that's involved in that, and it should be right on size or a fraction bigger. Hopefully it's right on size, because I don't really want to machine the outside of it unless I've got to. But that's just a loose pulley for the shaft, so I've got reverse. That come from Tasmania, from Tyne Valley Metals, or wherever he is up there, up behind Mathina. Don't know why he's selling metals on eBay, but he's pretty good. It's just it takes forever to get here from there, especially at the moment. Hot Rod Guy, that's him. Seems to be the only guy that sells this sort of stuff in that sort of size. Anyway, also got a bit of flat in the mail today. It's 50 by 6. That's for this project, which is the elephant in the room, I guess. Stefan Gottsweeder made these plans. You probably all know Stefan. He's a regular here, and he's got a pretty good channel, and he makes stuff. He's German. If you don't know Stefan, go and check him out, because he's an amazing guy. But he made this set of plans, so these are getting a bit sort of oily, for this little indicator holder. He's kind of mad and a precision inspiration, if you're going to put it that way, but don't speak too loudly. You'll probably turn up here in a minute. He made this set of plans for this little indicator that he built, and it's sort of not as big as this drawing, to be honest. So I thought, well, I'll make a series of videos, and they're coming out. It's a fairly nice build. I've got 4 videos on Patreon, and they'll probably be the first one will be up on the weekend, but it's kind of a blow by blow construction series, which I'm not used to. He's probably listening because I just got a heart from him. So obviously he's digging in. Let's have a look at the counter. Cam, yeah, 5999 or 5996 or 7, I think. If 2 or 3 more of you subscribe, I'll get to 6,000 while this video is going. So go and do it. So it's not very big. It's a lot smaller. Most of these drawings are double size. Just so you know before you start. It's pretty fiddly work. And the bit of flat is for this piece here. So it's a pretty good little build. Pretty good build. These plans are available to anyone. He did share them. He shared them on Patreon, but he also, I think, shared them in the Facebook group if you're part of that. Yeah. The musical accompaniment is message from Stefan. I should say, get your backside down here to have a look at the live stream. I don't know why he hasn't realised that's what time it is. I thought it'd make a pretty cool coat hanger too, but it's a bit flash for that. Anyway, where are we with it? We've got 4 videos up, or 3 videos up. There's another one I uploaded, but I haven't actually looked at it yet. That's one way to do that piece, that flat. I'm going to do it on the faceplate just as a half. I've been thinking about that. There are some challenges in it. This little fine... Oh, this stupid light. I'm going to switch that off because it's getting a bit of glare. Well done, Aid. That's awesome. You've got a good channel, though, and you're a nice guy. I really need to upgrade the camera for a live stream, and I almost had it done tonight, but we're getting there. There was a couple of bits I couldn't find, and then my tablet was flat. Maybe next week we'll get there. I'm sorry about that. This is a little knurled nut, which retains the indicator. Made that first. And a couple of bronze washers, which still need to be finished properly. And a couple of little thumb nuts, which are M5 with a seriously focus. There. They've got a knurl around them, so they're looking pretty good. We're going to finish them properly too. And so far I've got... That isn't going to work, Fridge. It isn't going to work. You're going to need... I think we're going to need 3 or 4 before it kicks over the next 10. It will update, but it does need 10 before it clicks to the next one. And I think I'm at 5996 or 7. So you can do it. It only take 3 or 4 subs and it'll do it. So these have got a 60-degree taper in them and a 5mm hole. These are pre-hard 4140, which is crazy hard. D2 might have been a better option, but these are a fun project. So yeah, YouTube changed with the counting system about a week after I finished that subscription counter. So I do, you won't subscribe again, though. I just don't like my chances there. It'd be pretty funny, though. So it's hard 4140, but it's pretty hard. It's 45, 50 Rockwell and pretty tough stuff. Generally, when it comes pre-hard, it comes as really about as tough as you can get it as far as wear resistance, etc., and strength, but not particularly hard, so it's still machinable. If you soften it and then reharden it to 850 Celsius and then anneal it to about 500, 525, 530, something like that, you'll end up with this, which is what's excellent for wear parts and bits like that. So, okay, standard pre-hard is 28 to 32. It probably is too. It's not as much as that, but it is pretty high tensile strength. So one of them still got to have a thread on the end of it and a dovetail, which is going to be fun. And that nut screws on there like that. And this one has a straight spindle to go in a collet or something like that. And then they've got pieces to go in there, and then that curved piece is cut out of this, I think. So this is a good project. If you're looking for a quick project you can make in about 3 days, for a fairly useful, fairly tidy tool, watch my videos because they're coming out very soon. Even better, become a Patreon and get them straight away because they're already up there. And anyway, don't expect that of anyone, but I thought, well, I'll put everything up there and get everything working and finished, and then I might upload it to YouTube. So it's not that far away, and it's probably only a week away. Big thanks, Joseph, for that. And Phil's back. Anyway, this time next week I should have this finished pretty easy. So keep an eye out. These are all got to be blued. I'm probably gonna, I don't know whether I'm gonna color this, heat blue it, or whether I'm gonna just polish it, or whether I'm gonna throw it in the tumbler and give it that nice grey, like abrasive finish, which I really like too. Don't know yet. Sorry about that. You're still looking at the camera, the counter. No, I don't even look at the counter very often nowadays. I've got a couple of indicators that'll work with this. See, it's not going to drop off. It's smarter than that, see? So I got a little Imperial Federal, which isn't a bad indicator. It's pretty loved, but it's actually not bad, and its zero's pretty good, and it doesn't need calibrating too far out or anything. It has got a bent or a slightly bent arm on it, which probably could be fixed too. That's pretty awesome. That's what I probably would get to use more than anything. That's in thousandths of an inch or half thousandths of an inch, which is about where I like to work, something like that. I got Gerard Tass too. Still hasn't dropped. This is crazy precision. Like, this is a beautiful indicator, but it's way too nice for me, really. It hasn't been calibrated for a little while. It's 1999, so it's 20 years old or a bit more. This is a really nice indicator, but it's way too precision and too precise for most of what I do. So at this point, I don't use that very often. I've got a Starrett last word too, which is a different mounting system to the dovetail, but that's here we go. We'll refresh that. There you go. So see, now you've done it. It's sitting on 0. This is pretty good. The last word is not accurate enough really for a lot of work, especially tool making work. It's good for setting up a rough old casting. It's what we've got to pick up a signal there somewhere. It'll be right in a second. The last word is good for picking up a rough old casting or cleaning up a bit of mill scale bar, something like that, because it hasn't got any bounce in it. So there's no flutter, I guess you'd say, because, and it's good for that sort of work where things have got it. See, it's still back where we started. It's good for that sort of work where you're only working within a hour and you don't want anything too precise. This is good for setting up work that's going to look nice and look good on video. This is good for doing work that really, really matters, but this will take 3 or 4 times to set up something accurate with this as it does with this, because it's just too sensitive. Anyway, that's me on indicators. There's actually people here who know about indicators and stuff, so you should go and check out their channels. I'm not one of them. Got some paint today, which is awesome, which means I can get on and finish my Coat Hanger 2020 project. If you're following, if you're even a little bit awake in this little community, there's this thing called Coat Hanger 2020, which is Rustanox Coat Hanger challenge. Mine needs painting. I still have to paint the aeroplane for my coat hanger. So anyway, it's getting there. Slowly. No information today. They're probably both, you could take them apart and clean them, but the reality is that they're not too bad at the moment. If you make things, join Coat Hanger 2020. That's pretty true. Ma are worth fixing. Greg, Ma indicators are usually worth fixing. Some of the others aren't, but they're probably worth fixing. And there are people who do them. The resolution on the Swiss one, Craig. Second coat. Everyone needs a second coat hanger. It's got too many zeros. Thousandths of a millimeter. So that's crazy. What else? This is something that has been a bit topical at the moment. You should have, Ted. We expect content if you start making it. That's the trouble. This thing here, right? You should all look out and buy one. This is called a plate magnetizer. Or it's just a demagnetizer. There's a plate magnetizer, a demagnetizer. This one's a favourite, which is now Horia, I think, which is the Swiss brand that's still going. I've had this for like 1,000 years. It's favourite make good stuff. They're now, yeah, they're sort of absorbed into Horia. If you have a look at Horia, HORIA.ch on the web, there's a lot of stuff that you really would like and you can't afford there. They make lathes and stuff. And it's way out of everyone's price range. But this is a favourite plate demagnetizer. It's a pretty fantastic thing, really. I guess everyone's seen one, but everyone needs one because it's to use it, you just drop something on it and press the button and pull it off, and it's just electromagnet. If you press the button and push something in the middle and let it go, then you've magnetized it. We put this over here in the, see that? There you go. So you got a magnetic drill, which isn't much good to anyone. But if you pull it off like that and put it back over here in the swarf tray, nothing. Hey, Warren. So all it is, I think, is an electromagnet with a button. I don't think there's much else to it. And you press the button and the magnet polarizes the plate in the top and it'll demagnetize or magnetize something. So if you see one, grab one, because it's handy in a workshop, because everyone has magnetic tools and they drive you mad, especially at the moment with all these big conspiracies around. It's probably the 5G, but probably over time everything's magnetic. Find them secondhand, like you'll buy it cheap. It's a fairly simple thing, and probably you can find a kit to make one without a lot of trouble. I believe, I don't know, this is all potted up, so I'm never going to pull it apart. But I believe that it's just a transformer or a coil and a plate. But it's a good thing, and everyone should have one, because this has been around with me. It's been my bag to work once every couple of months for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And it's been here in the cupboard for the rest of the time. And every now and again, I'll pull it out and do it. Yeah, magnetic calipers are the worst. This will fix them. Absolutely. It's the thing. So if you find one, grab it. But don't buy a Swiss one from, it does say made in Switzerland, I think. Yeah, sort of. Don't buy a Swiss one, because they'll get expensive. People put a premium price on this gear. Video from you, Tom, about making demagnetizers, please. I think that counts. YouTube subscriber algorithm knows that you've just unsubscribed. I think it's listening to your conversations, and I really think that probably you should get an ad blocker, or you should stop listening to the voices in your head and just pretend that it's not that important and subscribe anyway. Bandsaw would be nice. It'd probably just use the buffered rolling average, like Craig says, whatever that is. Yep. This is another thing that I don't use often enough, right? If anyone has one of these and knows how to use it, especially you mechanic guys, do a video on it so we know how to set it up. I've got a rough idea and I know how I use it. I don't want to make a video about it because I really don't think it's probably the way I should be using it. Right? This is a small hole gauge. From 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, this one. Chirpy, I have that problem too. That and Instagram creators. Instagram creators are terrible for giving me new projects. Don't know what to do about that. But anyone who's a mechanic, I believe these are for measuring valve stem guides. It's a small hole gauge. I bought it on a whim and I use it, but I really don't don't use it for measurements really. I use it for checking. I don't know if you can use it for measurements. If you can, I'd love a video from someone. Stephen Lang. We're looking at you. But this one goes from 250 thou through to 505, so just over 1/2 inch. So you might know how to use this. Give me some pointers and I'll do a video, but I get it out occasionally, but I haven't really put it on any videos because I really don't know enough about how to use it properly. Yes, you calibrate it with a known dimension and then compare, Phil. That's the way I would use it as a comparison gauge, but I'm not sure about that. I have this, which is a very useful thing. If you want a tool, let's have a look over here in the cupboard. This is going to drive the price of these up, right? We'll get to that in a minute, Chirpy. This is going to drive the price of these up, and it shouldn't, because I'm still looking for them and they're a bit hard to find. This is a quick set gauge, right? Or quick check gauge. It's pretty basic operation thing, and if you've got a small hole to measure, you can do it the same thing basically with a Sharpie and a sewing needle or something with a taper on it. If you push it in the hole and mark the sewing needle and then measure the diameter of the needle where it comes out, you'll get a reasonable sort of a dimension of how big the small hole is. However, this tool is designed especially for doing it. And if you see them, grab them, because or let me know so I can grab them. And all this is a tapered needle. Right. Let's see if we can focus this a little bit. Probably can't. There we go. We've got a tapered needle that pulls in and out. With a lock slider, right? And a window here that gives us a dimension on the rod. So if we want, we slide that round so we can actually read it and find that there's a needle, there's a line there and a dimension. If we want to measure the diameter of a small hole, what have I got here with a small hole in it? Really good question. We've got a collet here with a 1.5 millimeter hole. If we put this in here and let it go, we can measure this in thou, which should be about 54, that's telling me. 52, something like that. So time is left. So that's a pretty handy thing, and they come in different sizes, and I'd like a metric set for work, but it's never ever happened, and I could buy a new set, but they're kind of crazy expensive. But for what I do, they're a pretty useful thing to have. So basically it's a cylindrical taper gauge, like Craig says. Hey Rusnox, good to see you back. Coat Hanger 2020, go and check out Rusnox's videos. No video from me on Coat Hanger, but if you watch this space, it's not far away now. JB's got a Bernard EA collet, Chuck, if you want to catch up with someone. Oh no, that's you. Okay. So that's a tool that I use a fair bit. And for small hole diameters, it's pretty handy for checking. But gauge pins are nice. It's just that they get crazy expensive to buy a set. I'd love a set of gauge pins from, say, 1 millimeter up to 10 millimeters, but I haven't got room for them for a start. Anyway, thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. Tiny to 1/2 inch is nice. Don't have the work for them. But there you go. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. Time to celebrate. So, speaking of Stefan, I've taken another leaf out of his book. And today, I guess by way of celebrating the 6,000, I bought a label maker. So, need to get some of this stuff organized. Everyone does this and it doesn't really work. You put all your taps in one box and you dig around for them until you find the right one. And then you drop it back in the box like this. It's a metric tap. And you've got to look for it again. So, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Mike. Make one that says 7,000. Good night, Poppy. I'll send you an email. Anyway, this is cheap. This is the cheapest one I could find. So I haven't got batteries for it. I forgot to buy batteries. So that's a trip to Aldi tomorrow when I'm at work. But I'm going to put these in compartment containers and label them so that I can drop them in and I know where they go and I can get them back out. Because for me, they seem to work well to start with. So I need to get these organised a bit because I'm sick of that. So that's the next job. Always want tool drawings. Please send. Thanks, Chirpy. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, guys. Whoever subbed, that's awesome. That's awesome. Don't know what else is happening. We had an update, I think, on the thread cutting attachment last week, did we? Can't remember. I think so. And we had an update on the Stuart 400 last week. Was that last week? If people are sending me stuff, there you go. I'll hold this there for a minute. So you got that. Screenshot it, everyone, and send me stuff. Generally, I reply. No real progress on the Stuart 400. We did harden and temper the cam and put it in place. Seems to be holding up well. Some little modifications on the push rod and probably more to come. But it is looking like it's going to be a thing. Castings are on their way. Craig's crazy busy and he's got other stuff going on and everyone's sort of all under lockdown, etc., etc. So yeah, Clark's crazy busy. So the castings for the 400 are on their way. Maddie, this one. I'm not going to call it an easy project, but it's not a very big project. It's a small project. I probably should engrave this. Look, I mean to show this in every video, right? And I probably should actually paint this properly and do a decent job of it and put it up here somewhere. Or make a stencil and stick it across the top bottom of the bench here. It would be a really smart idea. But I never ever get round to it. So it's here. And it's right here on the bench. And that's my email address. Never change it. Leave non-square. It's square. See, it's an optical illusion. If I hold it in exactly the right spot, it is square. Look at that. It's less square if I put it out there. But anyway. Chirpy. Chirpy, yeah, look. There's going to be some engraver footage for this. There's some work that I'm going to do with that. It's got some problems still. my pantograph engraver has some issues in that it's got some backlash in all the joints, right? It was probably okay when it was made for about a week, but it is worn a bit. So there are ways, I think, to modify that, and it's one of the jobs that I'm going to need thread cutting for. So at some point I think that will happen, but right now it's kind of a little bit shaky, and you've got to be a bit fussy using it because you get a little bit of error and a little bit of backlash, and that's not particularly good when you're engraving. Take care, Cam. Good to see you. Good to see a video this week. Clark's square castings, I don't know how much they're going to be. It's probably a pretty nice casting in that shape and size. It's something that's very easy to get right, and he's going to do enough of them that he's going to get them right. I wouldn't buy a one-off foundry casting to make a precision tool. That's a bit harsh, but from anyone really, I think that's a stupid idea because it's not going to be right the first time around. There's going to be compromises with it. If you get something that's been made and sold in quantities, every single one of them is going to be fantastic. So it looks like a really good project. It's only 6 inches square, which is a sensible size. Corprint Pattern in Canada make one, which is huge. And anyone I know who's got one has never ever machined it because it's too big to fit on most machines and too big to be much practical use when you do. But Clark's casting looks pretty good, and that looks like an awesome sort of a thing. Also, Keith Rucker's little straight edge looks like a really good project too. I believe there's one of them in this parcel with their head in the cylinder, but we'll see when it gets here. Take care, John. Gosh, you drink a lot of coffee, Phil. Yes, Chirpy, it'll do some pretty good work, and it's good for copy work. But you need to be very, very careful working out your ratios to do that, because it doesn't matter really if your small series of letters is 3 millimeters or 3.5, because you make good with it and make your big letters to match. If you are actually copying something down to size, it's a bit more fussy. So you need to get exactly 2:1 and exactly 3:1 and exactly 4:1. And then it would be a good thing, but it's fairly fussy about backlash, more so than even a CNC machine. So if you go round the outside of something in one direction, you're going to end up with a different shape than if you go around in the other direction, probably, or such. So probably there's good machines out there that'll do it, and if you watch the marketplace for long enough, you'll find one. And Joe Pye actually made a pretty cool pantograph engraver. Check out his video. Take care, Dennis. Good to see you. Don't work too hard. Stay safe. Stefan's videos are particularly good on pantograph engravers. Don't expect that out of anything that was made anywhere except Germany or Switzerland. But I hope at some point to get my mine up to the point that it is that accurate, and it's I think it's capable of reproducing itself, nearly chirpy, but it needs to be well made. You'd be more than capable of that. Thanks, Craig. You've had too much to drink. G'day, John. Hey, it's the late Mr. John Creasy. Yeah, well, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, check out John Creasy's pictures of his steam engine. He's just about finished, except for the governor. That's a really nice engine. It's worth a look. Stuart Hingston, g'day. Your name seems familiar somehow. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm not sure why that would be. Anyway, hi, Stuart. Waiting for Bruce to make the governor. Anyway, so I intend to get my pantograph going properly, and it's not something that I've forgotten by any means. I've put a fair bit of time into it already. It just needs some backlash taken out of it, and probably with tapered seat joints. I think if you make the joints on a taper, something similar to this, with an arm that goes through on a taper with a reamed hole with a nut, or a screw that locks down into a reamed hole with a lock nut, I think you would find that you would alleviate a lot of backlash that way, rather than the parallel holes that are already in the arm. So that's what I'm working on. But eventually I'm going to have to make new screws. I'm going to need thread cutting. So I've got to finish the thread cutting attachment. And yeah. Oh, awesome, John. That's very cool. Thanks for the link. Don't be afraid if you've got a good video or something that you've seen, or something that you've done in particular. Don't be afraid to put a link in the live stream, because people will go and watch it. They won't be able to ever find it again, but go and watch it. John's probably a bit like me. I sit down and I filmed this project in some detail. So there's going to be about 7 20-minute detail videos I'm making this part, 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 etc., etc., etc. But you kind of need time to do that. It's a fairly labor-intensive sort of a process, and you don't end up making a lot of progress in the limited spare time that you have by doing that. But it's fun. Who's this choopy guy? He keeps making funny noises over there in the corner. I don't know what he's about. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know if anyone knows what that chirpy guy's talking about. Look, steady rest. It's right here. Okay. It's awesome. This is what I'm saying about buying one-off castings, right? Bondi Hack seems to sort it out. Chirpy can talk about this because he's actually done this and he's good at it. So Chirpy's qualified to criticize on this. But this is the one-off casting thing, right? this has some issues. One is that making this actually fit the bed is almost impossible from machining without having the bed there to try it on while you're doing it. So this I think needs, I've written on here, I think it needs 42 thou, I believe, out of this side, which is nearly a millimetre, to bring that up so that this sits on the bed. It's probably a fairly straightforward thing to do. Hasn't happened yet. Yeah, Chirpy's come up really good. It's awesome. Go check out that video. And go check out the latest grinder video too. That's a really nice tool. Can you get the file out? I can set it up in the shaper. I haven't got any machine with that much space to set that up and actually machine it. So I've got to go and borrow a friend's machine to do that. However, the big problem with it is, more than anything else, is that it's back to front. Right? When you put it on the bed, that the open shut side's on the back, so any pressure you're putting on here, you're pushing it against this and opening this out rather than pushing on here against the back. Now, probably that doesn't make a lot of difference, and probably it's fine. But that's one issue. The other issue is that one of these holes, for some reason, didn't line up with the others. These two seem to be pretty good. This one's quite a bit out. So whether I block these up and do it again, or whether I actually pour this back in and get another casting and have another go at it, I'm not sure. Probably you could. I really don't want to do that. I'm of the idea that there will be two ways that I will do this in the future. I will fabricate one and get someone to cut out the shape for me properly and make it fit, or I will modify the pattern a little bit and get another one cast and start again, or I could probably good enough would be just to thread this and make an insert to go in there, which I've got a piece of material the same, and Loctite that in, and I think you could drill wherever you like on there, and I don't think it'd move much, so it might tig up nice, but don't know. I know some of the wire cut machine, but that's kind of expensive. Does produce really nice results. So I'm sort of leaving this here for another month or two until I decide that something needs to be done. And then we might get into it and do it. And we might fix this one. We'll see. But you could probably braze it up, yeah, and that'd probably be plenty good enough. But getting braze all the way down in here is a bit tricky. So maybe you could just braze each end and leave the piece in there. Not sure. But I reckon thread might be the best. So mostly this is just awkward casting, and there are problems with it. It's a prototype, and as a prototype casting, things never go really strictly according to plan. Sometimes you get lucky, and people send me emails saying, "Oh, I don't like your foundry, man," and I don't like the work he does, and I think, you know, I wouldn't trust anyone who has that sort of setup with a dirt floor, etc., etc., etc. But having said that, right? Look at this. Look at this. That was one of my castings, the steady. So yeah, I can't blame anyone else for that. This casting is crazy good. Yeah, Chirpy, you're right, but I've had comments about that. Wooden flask and concrete and dirt floors are a bit amateurish, apparently. This casting in iron is crazy good for a first off, right? It's accurate. It's precise. There's no drag in the sand when it's been pulled out or put back in. Look at this cam. Clears there perfectly according to drawings. I took probably 5 thou off there to make that fit off the casting. Crazy good. Nothing wrong with this. So if you're looking for someone to make castings, Clark's your man, and he's good at that, but he's in America. There's nothing shabby about this, really. He's put a lot of work into it, yes. And there were problems with this, but they're as much in the pattern making as in the foundry work. And if you'd cast another 2 of them, I'm sure he would have got on top of it, right? We had some sand wash out in here and in here. And that's because of the metal turbulence when it comes in through the mold, I believe. And that's probably a lot to do with the angles and the draft and the curve in the pattern as much as anything. We're coming from fairly thin wall here into a fairly thick portion here. And I think that's probably what's disturbed the sand and washed it through, and we've got sand in the castings. That was the main problems with this casting. But apart from that, we'll forgive him on that, because if he'd cast another one, he would have got it right. So there's nothing shabby about this casting at all. And it's come together pretty well to the point that the cylinder bore where it matters is amazing, and oil's going to run out here everywhere because I put oil in here, and the bores must be somewhere near straight because it actually holds oil from end to end. The bore's fantastic. It's really cleaned up pretty good. I've cursed this casting at times when I've been machining it, but the main problem with that is that my machines are too small for this project. And what you don't realise is how crazy big this engine is. It's a seriously big project. Anyway. That's not a bad casting, and it's a pretty good job as such. Chirp is pretty good, actually. He knows stuff. What does the engine weigh, Emma? What's the engine weigh, Craig? About 6 or 7 kilos so far. That's 12, 14 pound. Yeah, we need to know more about Chirpy's casting. He's not as dumb as he looks. And I shouldn't even say that. Sorry, Chirp. He's Yeah, he tries to pretend he doesn't know much, but he's pretty. He doesn't fool anyone really. I guess that's where we're at with that. And the work he's done on that tool post grinder, or on the tool and cutter grinder, that's going to be awesome. I had my doubts about that when he started. It's not a job I would like to take on, but it's starting to look pretty jolly good. Really a little bit impressed with that. Can't wait to see it finished. Can't wait. It's an awesome project. I guess it's humility, but he's pretty good. It's like the A team. You don't tell everyone, or you don't show everyone all your tools. Like Faceman said, we don't show everyone all our equipment. Can't wait to see. You're all a pretty clever bunch, really. Yeah, you always need to make a tool before you get to the point that you can actually finish something. Tell me about it. I would have started this months ago, to be honest. But I need thread cutting capabilities, and this is going to be the first project that I actually cut threads on my lathe for in earnest. So, pretty excited about that. It's 3/4 size of the full size 400 mats. The full size one was this is about 1 3/8 diameter bore, and the full size one's 1 3/4, I think. This has got a 8-inch flywheel, and the full size one's got a 10-inch flywheel. This one is about 2.5-inch stroke, and I think the full size one is 3 1/4 or something like that. So it's about 3/4 size. If anyone has drawings, here we go. If we're looking for tool drawings, I got these by mistake. Well, not by mistake. I don't think there was any mistake about it. There was just a lack of knowledge. And they just sent them because they probably thought they were all the same. But these aren't what I ordered. And we talked about them a few weeks ago. I need to make a tool holder for these. If anyone's got drawings on how to make a tool holder, I'd be keen, because that's a project I'd like to do. What's your question, Maddie? Stevenson? Gary's not going to tell anyone about the calculators. I don't like a quick change tool holder, just something to hold these so I can use them. Oh, where can we find these, Maddie? I don't think Stefan would mind if I sent you a copy, so I might do that. You can hit him up, or you can have a look in the YouTube Machinist group. They're actually on there, I believe. And also, they're on his Patreon page and probably on his website. I saw that, Kevin. That's not a bad idea. Matt, you need another project. How's the boring head going? There we go. Now, don't email him about the plans. He will never get back to you. He's hopeless with that. Life's too short. Yeah, Craig, when are you doing the Z-axis? That's right. You're not alone. We totally expect. Yeah, we want more out of all of you. Make more videos. No, just make cool stuff and post pictures of it. You don't have to be Mr. Pete with 1,000 videos, but we will go back and watch some of them eventually if we need to. I haven't got the Z on mine either, to be honest, Craig. If we're going to be honest, I haven't put it on mine. There are times when I'd really like to have it and it'd be pretty useful, and at some point I will, but it's a bit cramped for space and I'm still thinking about it. So yeah, research and development is just as important as actually doing the job, so that takes time. You've got to remember that. Stefan's probably working, he's at home, and he's probably actually doing some actual real work. Cool, man cave. We expect to see pictures of that. Anyway, here's another thing I've done this week. Look at this, paper drawing. Tap magic bottle. Are we impressed? I would be very impressed, because no way last week I would have put that down on the sheet of paper. Look, when I got looking at this bottle just had one of those paper seals on it, like a milk bottle with a tab on it that you peel off or whatever, which isn't good enough. When you unscrew it and take that paper piece off and then screw this back on, there's no seal between the bottle and the spout. So what happens is that when you tip it over, it drips down inside there, and when you tip it back, this runs out. That's what I think's happening. So I've just put a fibre washer in it, and it seems to have fixed the problem. So a little bit impressed about that. There's the answer for the Tap Magic bottle, the Mark II plastic one. We can fix that. Put an O-ring in it, or put a fibre washer in it. Oh, Marford Boy's still there. We were going to talk about him too. We should give his engine a run. Chewing gum's good. We should give Marford Boy's engine a run. I can't remember what I asked about. Yeah, you did actually. They went quiet on that, Craig. Don't stress too much. Obviously, it wasn't all that important, but I'd forgotten what we were talking about. Sorry about that. Now, this is a Fairfax Engines casting kit from England, from a guy named Myford Boy. Hit him up, because I believe that he's still selling these castings. I don't think he's got to that point that he's not interested anymore. But this is a pretty interesting little engine to build. I believe that this cylinder and valve gear is the same on his little traction engine build. So that's a really clever design. This it's a nice, it's a really nice engine. It's got slipper centric gear on it, which is pretty clever, and it's well designed, and it works. There are some interesting setups in this casting, which me and a couple of other people I know have attempted this, got caught up at that point. But everyone needs a challenge, and it's well worth doing, and it's a pretty nice little engine. And it's certainly better value for money. Certainly better value for money, this engine, than say a Stewart Models or something like that, which probably hasn't got particularly good castings nowadays. I did this without a milling machine. There we go, Joseph. There are videos way back on building this. I built this without a milling machine. It would be much easier if I'd had a milling machine. It certainly would make the job a lot easier, but you can do it. Runs nicely both directions. Had the shaper. I can't remember if I did much on the shaper with it or not. Go and check out his website. But this is a zinc alloy, this casting. It's quite heavy, this flywheel. And this one's just an aluminium casting, I believe. And the drawing kit and the instructions are fantastic. That's where this shines. I believe there's some variations. Mine's not as good as Myford Boy's. His will run nicely on a aquarium pump. Mine won't. Myford Boys will run on an aquarium pump, he says. I'm suspicious about that claim. I think it might be the Chinese and coronavirus. But it probably does, because he's probably a much better workman than me. Mine will run on about 8 or 9 psi, but you can't tick it over with an aquarium pump. But the drawings for this are fantastic, and the instructions that come with it are fantastic. There's quite a book, and it's all printed. It's not on CD or anything. So when you get the casting kit, you get all the information, and you get set up instructions, that sort of stuff. It's pretty good, and there's a good series of videos to go with it, like a really good series that I looked at dozens of times. But it might, John, it might. With this, the reason it doesn't run on really low pressure is that it's a piston valve design, and there's no seals on the piston valve here, and there's no seals on the piston either. But with a bit of oil on it, it runs a lot better. Anyway, support your creators. Go and check this out, because this is a nice engine. The traction engine's a very nice engine, but it's a lot bigger project than this. I wonder, Moford Boy, if you're still there, I wonder how many traction engines you've got built so far. But yeah, it needs some oil. Also needs me to move the hose out from... We've got a slipper-centric valve problem, I think. Yeah. Anyway, good to see you, Phil. It's awesome to see you. Make a video for us. Let us know what you're going and what you're up to anyway, and what you're making, because we see projects and we don't see a lot of information on it. This needs oil. I don't think that's the way to do that. But this is not a bad engine, and it's one of the most satisfying engines I've ever built. You can build it all right on a Moford, I think, without any problems. There are some interesting setups here to machine this, but probably you could get it good enough with a file. Anyway, thanks. One day I'm going to hit you up for a hot air engine fan or something like that when I run out of projects. So at some point I will buy another kit off this guy, because it's pretty awesome. To give you an idea how much capacity is in my air compressor, that's it. Enough said about the German. I have a parcel coming from Germany that's not in the post, but anyway, have a look at this, because it is piston valve, which is a little bit tricky. Like, it's a learning curve. You'll learn a lot of stuff doing this. Piston valve's good if you can make everything a nice fit. If it's a bit loose, you're going to lose a lot of pressure there, and I believe that's what's going to happen here. I believe that's what's happening, is that probably this piston valve is too loose in the valve block, and we're getting a bit of blow past, and that's why this takes 8-10 psi to run. But Moford Boy has a pretty nice couple of hot air engines, and I'd really like to build one of them at some point. But I've got to finish that Stuart 400 first. There we go. Anyway, we're an hour and a half again, and I've just been talking here. I don't know. Everyone's getting sick of me, probably. We would like that, Phil. We would like a live feed anyway. So I need to get some of these projects going, and then I might seriously consider another engine kit, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Not tired, not tired. Nearly asleep, but not tired. It's actually really, really, really good to catch up with all you guys. This is probably at the moment, it's the only social interaction I get every week. I chat backwards and forwards with a lot of people. I answer a lot of emails. I talk to colleagues at work during the course of the week because quite often there's stuff they're quoting on or jobs that they need an opinion on, and I'm there to do that. But apart from that, I don't actually sit down and talk to someone. I talk to myself when I'm making videos. There hasn't been a video on YouTube for 2 weeks, which is terrible, besides live stream, and I really apologize for that, but they're coming and they're going to be cool. We're going to have some awesome project videos, I think, in the next week or so. Anyway, take care, Mats. Enjoy your lunch. Have a great meeting. Good to see you. Thanks for everything. Joseph is woke, so we're set there. Being woke is very important in 2020. We won't start on that. I've got a paint box that I started 12 months ago, which is terrible, right? It's the last really serious sign painting job that I did. Was 3 sides on the paint box before I ran out of purple paint. At this point, I would like to get back in and finish it, and that's what this purple's for. I think one of these colours is orange for the Stuart 400, and this one's purple. So I'm going to get in and finish that the next couple of weeks. That's awesome, my boy, that you're actually selling them. That's great. Support your creators, guys. Go and see Ask Stephen Lang about a set of stones while you're at it. Who is out there making stuff? Leave a comment on Chirpy's channel and get him to monetize his stream, monetize his channel, because he hasn't done that yet. As far as having a good set of drawings, this is really well documented. I couldn't lay my hands on the set of drawings for it. They're in a folder somewhere. But the drawings and the instructions for this are fantastic, like really well written. I'm building that Stuart 400, and I've got 8 pages in a book from 1922. And I'm guessing most of it as I go because I haven't got one to copy. That's a bit more challenging, but building this is pretty rewarding, sweet little engine. Yeah, do it through PayPal, Cherky. They don't have my bank details. Anyway, we're probably nearly done here. I've got to work tomorrow. I've only got 5 hours or something tomorrow, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to make a pretty good effort. Hey, another thing I did. I was going to show you all this. I'm pretty proud of this. This is awesome. It would be awesome. It would be crazy cool if I knew where they are. Oh, here it is. Look. Look at this. I color-coded these oil cans as per promises. So this one's gear oil. And this one's engine oil. So that was another job that I did this week. There you go. That took all day one day. I also made it all the way through Myst, the computer game. So there you go. I got to the final screen. It was a total disappointment and really an anticlimax. And I'm disappointed I wasted all that time on it now and 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 25 years ago, or whenever it was, because it's not worth doing. So that's the end of my gaming for the next foreseeable future. Ted, this one's gear oil and this one's hydraulic oil. And I probably need another one of these for steam oil, but these are crazy hard to find. They're Eagle 58s. If you can find a good oil can that the spout doesn't fall off when you break it, Man Cave, we'd probably buy them off you. Nice little sideline. Anyway, I think I'm kind of done here. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm going to say be kind to each other. More soon. I think I'm probably out. Take care, guys and girls, and we'll see you next week. And there'll be a video up before then, promise. Or 2 or 3.